At the beginning of the 1980s, British Rail had a problem. They had a large fleet of ageing first-generation diesel multiple units, built to many different designs by several manufacturers in the previous decades following the start of dieselisation. They were getting old, needed refurbishment at minimum to keep them on rails, providing a reliable service. However, the estimated costs for this were huge, particularly in the removal of hazardous materials such as asbestos. So they decided that a new generation of DMUs were needed as a replacement. The Sprinters. British Rail designers developed an ambitious specification for this new generation of DMUs, including a maximum speed of 90 miles per hour, acceleration to rival contemporary electric multiple units, known as EMUs, multiple working capability with existing EMUs, easy passenger through train access, pressure ventilation, and to compromise either a 3 or 4 car consist. These initial specifications led to the British Rail Class 210 multiple unit. Unfortunately, to reach the performance characteristics in the initial specification, more expensive equipment had to be used to reach these high speeds, the rate of acceleration and passenger gangway access. The small space limitations also caused maintainability problems. The diesel engine was also situated inside the carriage body rather than underneath, which meant it took up a considerable amount of seating space. The large engine also made the powered coach 62 metric tons. For comparison, a Class 117 driving coach was only 37 metric tons. Regardless of these problems, it was evaluated that a production fleet assembled from proven components would have generated reliability level and lower maintenance costs. The Class 210s had demonstrated a reduction in maintenance costs in comparison to the aging first generation DMUs were possible, as well as the value that a new generation of DMUs would be in terms of cost reduction for British Rail. By 1983, after analysing the Class 210's performance, the planners re-evaluated the specifications for a new generation of DMUs that were less demanding than the original. The top speed was dropped from 90 miles an hour to 75 miles an hour, as it was discovered that the higher speed did not result in faster journey times due to the short spacing of the stations along the lines the type was intended to serve. A drivetrain with 7 horsepower per tonne was decided to give on the desired acceleration. The requirement to be compatible with other rolling stock was removed, however auto-coupling and auto-connecting functionality was added. The sound level of a 90 decibel at full speed and a good ride quality was also added to the specification. In contrast, the first generation of DMUs, which used a pair of engines, and the new generation of DMUs would only use one engine per car, with sufficient cooling to allow a 2-car unit to still operate a service without any major delays, even if a single engine failed. British Rail gave companies just 18 months to develop a prototype, to encourage them to use existing production methods. 2 of these companies who submitted bids included BREL, who heavily based theirs off the Class 455, and Metro Camwell, who used a riveted aluminium body shell to reduce weight. These 2 prototypes were selected by BR to proceed to further testing. The prototype from the Metro Camwell was the Class 151, made from an aluminium body shell. It suffered from a violent gear shift which never entered production. The prototype from BREL was a Class 150-0. One prototype had a Cummins engine and a Voith gearbox similar to the production of the Class 150s. However, the other had a Rolls-Royce engine and self-changing gears transmission. However, this had various problems and became the only Class 154 and was used as a test bed for the Class 158. The Class 150. The production Class 150 was designed as a commuter unit and was fitted with 3x2 seating with 2 sets of sliding pocket doors on each carriage, located 1/3 and 2/3 down the carriage. A feature unique compared to other Sprinters. For the time period, the ride quality was deemed exceptional. Early units did not feature gangways, so unfortunately, when in multiple working with other sprinters, passengers were constrained to the unit they were in, unable to move through the train. The Dash 2s, however, did feature end gangways, along with a more spacious 2x2 airline-style seating. The Class 150s are going over 42 years old and are now getting classified as heritage units. This is seen in 150-231 being graciously donated to the Watercress line by Porterbrook and repainted into its old original Regional Railways livery by the Greatest Gathering team. The Class 950. The Class 950 is a variant of the Class 150, constructed for use as a network rail test train for assessing track where heavier trains such as the HST train, aka the Flying Banana, cannot be safely used. This was initially classed as the Class 180, however was reclassified as a departmental series as a Class 950 when the Class 180 Adelentes were introduced. The Class 155. Early on in the introduction of the Class 150, it was recognised that the Class 150 would be unsuitable for more upmarket services, however a derivative would be adequate. This variant was constructed by British Leyland between 1987 and 1988, using techniques used on the Leyland National buses. These units also had a top speed of 75 miles an hour, however openable windows were not included, in favour of quieter, fully sealed units, along with external doors being relocated to the ends of carriages within vestibules for further internal noise reduction. The carriages were also stretched to provide a more internal volume, and like the 150-2s had 2x2 seating rather than 3x2 for improved comfort of the passengers, along with end gangways for through train access. Due to increased weight of longer carriages, the power to weight ratio was lower compared to the 150. 42 of these units were built, however only 7 remain as most were converted into the Class 153. Class 153. Speaking of the Class 153, these were single car units converted from 155s by Hunslet Barclay from 1991 to 1992. The original 155s were found to be unreliable and plagued with teething troubles, such as the doors randomly sliding open on the move, so 35 of them were split into 2 separate 153s to increase reliability. Then they were used on less dense lines to replace the bubble cars. At the same time, the Class 158 started serving the routes that the 155s were originally working, which allowed for an easy replacement. Part of the conversion involved adding a second cab at the other end of the carriage. However, due to the doors not being moved, the B cab was noticeably smaller, even with the vestibule size being reduced to fit the cab. The B cab was described as uncomfortable for long journeys, resulting in unions refusing to drive the B cab unless it was a necessary shunting move. This means you'll see 153s either coupled with B ends together or coupled to a 156. The Class 156. The Class 156 were built from 1987 to 1989 by Metro Camel Design for longer distance journeys. Like the Class 155s, they are also longer than the Class 150s, along with having sliding doors at both ends of the carriages in vestibules, in anticipation of the longer journeys they were designed to serve. They also had more spacious 2x2 seating and end gangways to allow through train access. They also included a wheelchair accessible toilet in one carriage. The Class 158/159. There was need for a new long-distance DMU, especially with the Class 155s being unreliable. So the Class 158 was developed. It was a new, sleek, modern, quiet and comfortable long-distance DMU, capable of a higher top speed of 90 miles an hour for faster journeys. They are fully air-conditioned, apart from the cabs, and with 2x2 seating in standard class, with catering trolley access through the whole train and on applicable examples, contrasting the other sprinters Having first class fitted with more spacious 1x2 seating, they are mainly fitted with Cummins engines, whilst the remaining 47 have Hurricane engines. The Class 159s are 3-car units, almost identical to the 158, but with first class and toilets fitted. The first batch of 22 were converted from 158s in 1992, before entry into service to meet Network Southeast specifications. They were ordered to replace the Class 50 and 47 loco-hauled passenger services, due to the locomotives being unsuitable for the frequent stopping services. These units tend to operate in either 3, 6 or 9 car formations across the South Western Railway network. In 2008, 8 further units were obtained from rebuilding the surplus 158s from TransPennine Express. Thailand ASR and 152 and 157. The State of Railway of Thailand ordered 20 units of 4-car variations of the Class 158 in metre gauge, inwards opening slam moors and other differences. These were 2 proposed classes of sprinters. The 152 was a proposed idea to convert the Class 156s into 1-car unit. This, however, was done with the Class 155, making the Class 153s instead. The Class 157 was another proposed unit, requested by Strathclyde for passenger transports for a new commuter service multiple unit. However, due to BR's financial limits just before privatisation, these were never ordered, and instead the Class 170 Turbo Stars being ordered instead. As many sprinters are nearing 40 years old, they are now being replaced with modern units instead. Some companies have entirely replaced them, like how London Midland replaced their 150s with 172s in 2010. And some are in the process of replacing them, like Transport for Wales are replacing their 150s, 153s and 158s with 197s. And other sprinters, however, are staying put, like South Western Railway's Class 158s. In conclusion, the sprinters have played a monumental part in the commuter network of Britain, from replacing the ageing first generation of DMUs to being the backbone of Britain's commuter services, to today, whilst being phased out, they still play a key role in keeping Britain moving, and they are still rolling for many years to come. We'd like to thank you for watching this video. We do indeed apologise for the longer wait, but we do hope it was worth it. Please, if you'd like to see more videos like this, then please do like and subscribe, and it really helps us out.